Okay. Revenant, here we go. Not too much for Rev, but a few important ones. So the first one, they buffed Hammer in PvE a lot. I don't think you're really going to see Hammer a lot in PvE. This is one of those, you know how they did a bunch of changes back in the day to make every weapon, like, not bad? Yeah, this. It's not bad now in PvE. The damage goes up significantly. Are you going to be running, like, your crazy hammer camping Rev? No, you are not. But it definitely is going to be a less painful thing to have to use sometimes if you want some, want to be at range on particular encounters for whatever reason, like HTCM, for example. It's going to suck less, basically, which is good. It's one of those weapons that maybe needs a bit more mechanical reworking to make it really fit in and kind of bring it up to speed with modern Guild Wars 2 design, but it's certainly a very major improvement in my opinion. This one in particular is quite nice. Field of the Mists. Instead of having a cast time on the projectile block, it's going to be instantaneous now. And it also fires a projectile at 5 enemies around the target. Wow, more damage. Exciting. And you even get a little Aegis. I got a bit excited thinking it was AoE Aegis, but no, it's just on you. But there you go. Now, speaking of Aegis, though, yo! Heal Herald. Oh, man, it's a good day to be a hero. Check this out. So, Envoy of Exuberance. This is Shield 4. 15-second cooldown. Remember that. This skill now grants protection to allies at its impact point instead of when projectile passes through them, which, honestly, take it or leave it. I mean, both is fine, I think. This is definitely more consistent. The impact also grants Aegis to allies. Oh, Heal Herald is complete. There it is. And the healing goes up from 0 for the Wobbo, which is actually a lot. This is gonna heal a lot now when you use this, by the way. Oh, yeah. Let's go. They actually did it. This immediately makes Heal Herald significantly better because this was a glaring hole in its kit, is that it doesn't have Aegis. Now it does. And Shield 5 is no longer just a block, it's now an AoE heal as well. So just the Shield toolkit, much better. This is definitely going to mean that you are going to swap between Staff and Mace Shield a lot more. A lot of the time on Heal Herald previously, you'd kind of camp Staff a fair bit, not gonna lie, because Shield was a very mediocre weapon. Honestly, Shield has been an incredibly mediocre weapon on Herald for an unbelievably long time, right? But now, super tasty. Really, really good, really strong. It's also worth noting this is a big benefit to DPS Herald as well, because bear in mind, you can run your DPS set, you can run your sword, or greatsword, sword, or greatsword in your main set, and just have sword shield in your offset, right? Oh yeah, we love to see it. So you're good to go. You can actually go ahead and start bringing that Aegis toolkit into your regular Herald play, your Quickness Herald, or even your full DPS Herald toolkit as well. Really nice thing to be able to do. And that's a good point from Paint here as well. Bear in mind, there's a new weapon coming. Scepter is quite likely to be a support weapon for Rev, so we could be getting a full support toolkit here. Staff and Scepter Shield. Tasty. Absolutely tasty. Yeah, of course, you can't take Staff if you do that, but what if you don't need the CC, right? There's a bit of flexibility there if you want to go in that direction. And speaking of which, by the way, we're talking about Herald here, DPS Herald buffs. Already a pretty underrated build, actually, maybe even by me. Bonus damage from maintaining a skill up to 20%, and per Herald upkeep skill 5 to 7% in PvE only. Yeah, very similar to Scrapper here. We talked about that with the NG section. This build is actually very good. It's a very good build. Gives some boons. Does a lot of damage. Very tanky. Has CC. Yeah. Good build. Very good build indeed. Actually, with this one, nice to see it buffed. They also gave Shortbow the baseline pierce. You had to take a trait in Renegade for this ability to pierce. Otherwise, this skill would, only hit one target. It wouldn't cleave, essentially. Now, that's baseline on all of the Renegade projectile abilities. Very significant, actually, because it means that if you're, say, playing a Condi Herald or something like that, which is a very good build for open world, you can now have way more AoE completely at baseline. Very juicy, in my opinion. Very, very nice. We kind of love to see that. Just a nice little thing there. Does make that weapon a lot more powerful in a lot of PvE scenarios for sure, and of course in PvP and competitive scenarios too. Shortbow, a very good weapon. Honestly, one of the stronger weapons in the game, I think, in general. Historically, one of the strongest weapons in the game. Has just a great toolkit. Has the CC. Has the snare with the slow. Right. Has very strong damage output with 7-shot, and of course its auto attacks are also nothing to be sniffed at as well. Also a good hybrid weapon, right? Does power and condition damage pretty well. That's one of the reasons it was so good in PvP. But yeah. There you go. And a few other kind of, little tweaks here. They did some stuff to Retribution. It's still a pretty meh trait line. They wanted to just get rid of, like, the passive proc stuff, I think. Make it a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more active. So Eye for an Eye, which was, like, when you got CC'd, you got boons and taunted your enemy or something like that. Now... you gain protection when you use your F2, which is, again, on Core Rev, it's the thing that gives you a little effect and gives you energy back. It's the Meld on Vindy. It's the Facet of Nature, right, on Herald. You get the idea. It's that one. Get Prot on that. Whatever. Spiritual Resolution. This gives you resolution when you use your elite skill. Now it's when you use now it's when you invoke a legend. So a little bit more quality of life there. So it's going to be more of like a passive thing that's going to be happening rather than something that you have to kind of invest your energy into, invest into your elite skill. Sure, there's a few niche scenarios like builds that use this combined with the Grandmaster that make you pulse might. But that's kind of less relevant because of how Herald works now. It's like whatever. Bold Reversal. Trait's been reworked to gain resistance to use a healing skill. This is on Renegade. This is kind of a weird one, right? This is like when you broke a stun, you kind of like walloped people around you and gain boons, basically, with this. That's how it worked. Now you get resistance when you use a healing skill. I almost feel like this is like less interesting now. I don't know. I feel very underwhelmed. I'm not whelmed by this whatsoever, by Bold Reversal. And Heart Piercer, the piercing effect is gone. It just gives you the bleeding damage. Which is a bit of a low energy trait, but hey, I mean, it is what it is. And finally, Vindicator. A few changes to Vindy here. Mostly, they said they wanted to give it more of an identity, so they're kind of leaning into the dodging with the energy meld in particular. Reaver's Curse. What this does now is that whenever you hit someone with a dodge, you got your endurance back. Effects like that, in general, very unhealthy, of course. And also, they had to nerf it into Oblivion to make it even remotely balanced, especially with 2 double dodge Vindy. So, yeah, definitely one of those ones that probably was due for a rework, and they did exactly that. It now reduces the recharge of Energy Meld, and Energy Meld enhances the effect of your next dodge. This is actually pretty cool, in my opinion, because it means that there's a lot of good Vindicator builds out there right now. Like, Power Vindicator is incredibly good. In PvE, it's very strong, has good utility and very high damage. And now, there's almost going to be a bit of like fun with using your dodges and your rotations because let me actually see if I can find the effects. I think they briefly moused over them. Let me see if I can actually find... Oh, look, some spoilers there. I think yeah. Oh, look at that. Look how fast I found it. Oh, let's go. Okay, so here we go. Energy Mist cooldown is reduced, and it increases the effectiveness of your next dodge. So, if you have no Grandmaster trait talented, yeah, then it gives you a 25% damage increase. Or if you have the damage one, it's 25% damage increase. If you have the boon one, it gives you an extra 5 stacks of might. And if you have the healing one, it doubles the healing and the barrier increase. Well, that's not quite as exciting as I thought. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, there you have it. Enjoy. You can do that. I got a little excited there. Now I'm less excited. I mean, I guess 25% more damage in your dodge. I mean, that's something. That is a thing. And here we go, this one too. Energy mode no longer has an energy cost, but grants energy when used. This is a big one, because this means not only is it going to refill your endurance with energy meld, it's also going to give you energy back as well, instead of costing energy. So you are giga resource overloaded with this. I definitely expect this to be a PvP thing, I feel like, because in general, that is where you can get super energy starved. You definitely can be in PvE as well, but definitely your resource management is very, very punishing in that particular game mode. And actually, speaking of that, I missed this one. This one's important, by the way. Contain Temper, which is a minor trait in Invocation, right? Which is very common in PvP. It doesn't give you Fury because, yeah, you don't need that. You gain energy when you break out of a stun. That is big. That is a big one. That is a juicy one for this, because it's very common to use your stun breaks are pretty expensive in PvP, especially in PvP. It's like 40 energy for the Shiro one, right? The fact that you're going to have a refund there, that is a huge help to a lot of Rev builds. It's this kind of stuff. I know a lot of people want Herald to come back, particularly Power Herald, one of the all-time favorite builds in PvP. Stuff like this is how you make that happen. By giving it energy back so it's allowed to be offensive and not drain all of its energy on surviving. Look, don't get your hopes up just yet, but this is the kind of change that can actually kind of make that happen over time. I do like this. This is a fun trait. I like the idea of certain things refueling energy on Revenant. I think this is cool. I can't say why, but recently I have come to appreciate mechanics that involve building and spending resource. I think that in general, that type of flow, it's actually very intuitive. I think I think it's good for new players. It's very easy to understand. It's also quite fun to play around as well. With that one. But yeah, again, a lot of these reworks here. It's going to be a bit more exciting in competitive modes, I think. But yeah, it's a reset. Okay, you know, it's been reworked. Not a reset. It's been reworked. Energy Meld grants more energy and also grants its energy and vigor to nearby allies. This one's actually pretty cool, I think. I think anything that shares endurance is quite exciting. Like sharing a dodge is always fun, I think. There's a couple of traits that do this. You know, of course, you've got the Tempest one. You have a Thief can do this with its Signet. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, all of these, they are things. You can probably pick a lot of these. I mean, I guess you're probably going to pick that in PvE because it just makes you do more damage. Or maybe you want to dodge more, so you have more dodges overall. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Basically, if you can't tell, I'm not super well. I got a little bit excited, but I became less excited. But anyway, DPS Herald, yo! Heal Herald, yo! And that's also why I'm less hyped about this. Like, when you have really cool stuff like this, with the Damage Herald stuff and the Heal Herald, it just makes everything pale in comparison. But there you have it. Boom. Nice. Let's move on. Thief. Okay. So, I was expecting Heal Specter. We didn't really get Heal Specter. Well, we did a little bit. Bountiful Theft. You now gain extra might when you steal from a target with no boons. Obviously, you take this trait on Heal Specter, and honestly, you take this a lot of the time on Alacrity Specter as well. This will be a nice bonus to both of them. A bit more might generation to kind of get them up to, hopefully, more that kind of, you know, getting very close to, like, capping might very easily. It's always good, especially on offensive support builds and defensive support builds these days. It's always good. I do like that change. The bulk of the changes, though, are to Pistol, Dagger, Thief, and Staff as well. The Staff stuff is pretty cool, actually. I think it's some overall some nice, a little mini rework to that weapon. But let's talk about Pistol, Dagger here. So the auto attack is going to bleed more, and Shadow Strike. This is the duel with Pistol. You get double the Torment stacks in PvE, and you get 3 stacks of the Repeater buff, so you can actually use Repeater 3 times before it flips back over instead of 1. Actually, really cool RP, and you know what? I think ArenaNet have identified that their Thief players are role players. Hardcore role players. I think that's why they've done this, because they've just made RP changes, straight up. This is literally RP changes. Unload, you can like pew way more. You can pew way more on your Shadow Strike as well. This is just RP. Is the Shadow Strike thing going to be good? And I do have some slightly bad news here, I guess. Even if this is good in PvE and it does high damage, this is a Golem build. Because remember, Shadow Strike makes you teleport backwards when you use it. So, yeah. Like, even if this benches mega high on Condi Thief, which, I don't know, to be honest, I'm not sure. I'm going to make a confession. I'm not very familiar with Pistol, Dagger, Thief, PvE benchmarks, okay? Look, I had to deal with it in PvP. That was bad enough. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. See, core Pistol, Dagger, Thief. Jesus Christ. That was not fun. It was good in PvP, let me tell you. I don't think it's good in PvE. I mean, but even if it is, it doesn't matter. It's a golem build because it teleports you back. So, or it, well, honestly, I'll be less harsh. I think this is cool RP. I think everyone loves going around with unload, and I think Shadow Strike is a fun skill to use, actually. So I'm not gonna, like, just rip the chain and say, oh, it's fucking dog shit. Is it gonna be strong? Nah. Is it some cool RP? Sure. And I do like the change to Bountiful Theft here as well. And just, like, making some utility skills a little bit better, making these stun breaks a little bit stronger, haste getting a little bit stronger, blinding powder getting a little bit stronger. Why the hell not, right? Why the hell not? Do you guys remember when haste had like a 60-second cooldown, only gave you quickness, and also made you, I think... Wait, what did it do? Didn't it make it... You didn't take more damage. Didn't it, like, mess with your cooldowns or something? Like the original version of this? It had, like, a downside to it or something. Like... Oh, yeah, it drained your endurance, yeah. It drained all your endurance. It had, like, a pretty big downside to it. Ah, how far we've come. Very good. Anyway, on to Daredevil. So, this is quite an interesting one. I feel like I should definitely let the Thief mains talk about how they feel about this. I would feel this is a usability improvement, but maybe people really like the Reflecty on the auto attack. I feel like it was a bit troll, very hard to use, but I guess really cool if you could pop off and use it really well. But basically, your auto attack chain on Daredevil actually has a reflect on it, weirdly enough, on the final part. That's now been moved to Dust Strike, which is star 4. And it's an AoE, circular area reflect, instead of a cone as well. So this is pretty exciting, I think, in some sense, because this means as a Thief with Staff, you actually have on-demand, well, essentially no cooldown or initiative limited reflect on this. Very cool. And you can't grief people on Matthias anymore, which is, in my opinion, pretty nice usability improvement. This is pretty initiative heavy. You're definitely going to burn your resource if you press this a lot, so you're going to have to be smart with using it, that's for sure. But also, the fact that it's AoE blind is also nice, right? Because this is going to be an AoE blind at the same time. Pretty nice for Staff, I think, especially in kind of competitive modes there as well. And Debilitating Arc, which is the third skill on Staff, has also been reworked a little bit. So now it works as normal, right? Like, you wallop people and then go backwards. And then you have Helmet Breaker, which is a new skill that leaps you forwards again and then smacks them over the head and it dazes them. So just a little bit more flexibility on that kit, a bit of CC. Again, kind of the Daredevil RP, right? Kind of a bit of a brawler. You just, like, whack people with the staff, right? And stun them and stuff like that. And you're leaping all over the place all the time. I think pretty cool. An Impact Strike. This skill now evades attacks. Now, I believe this is only the first part of the attack. And the cooldown went up because they were actually worried about having evade spam. Because in general, evade spam, especially on Thief, has historically been a pretty big problem. But yeah. Yes. But yeah. Is the skill going to be good? I mean, I'm not going to lie, I doubt it. This skill is a meme, all right? Thief Elite skills are already good. Like, Basilisk Venom is very strong. Dagger Storm is kind of a putrid, rancid, disgusting ability. Are you running this? I don't think so. Can you get some really funny clips and montage people with it? Yes. The evade makes it way more usable because you can kind of leap into battle and kind of connect it and start the combo to actually end someone. So that's pretty good, I guess. But yeah, I think what Leftist says is really true because, of course, the punishing strikes here, auto attack, reflect thing. Because what you could do on Thief, and this is what you can do with all auto attacks, right? Like, you can do 2 auto attacks and save the third, right? So there's a lot of skill in there. It's like very skill testing to do that. You could essentially be very careful and control when your reflect came out on your auto attack. But yeah, maybe not that practical for most players. They also buffed Well of Gloom and Well of Silence in PvP and World versus World. This is kind of what I mean about the patch having some things like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be so cool if you could play support Specter in PvP and World versus World? Is that going to happen? No. No. But I mean, like, one day, guys, okay? One day. We're going to get there in the end. We are going to get there in the end. I would have liked to see a little bit more for PvE. When I say PvE, I mean specifically for Heal Specter. Because honestly, I've got to say, though, actually, for all the gamers who kind of didn't get your heal build, so if you're a Scrapper or if you're a Specter, honestly, you guys are in safe hands. Look at the job they did with Chrono. Like, that's what's coming for Heal Specter and for Heal Thief, right, as well, Heal Specter. They did a great job on that rework, and I think you should have some confidence that the same thing will eventually happen for, again, the Heal Untamed build, for our Heal Specter build, Heal Scrapper, all this kind of good stuff. Really fun. I do like that. This is a hype patch. This is a hope patch. This is a patch of hope, guys. That's what this is. And we now arrive at our final spec. And oh my god. Oh god. I know, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry for Warrior mains. Oh my god. I've got to apologize for this. I said that Warrior never gets neglected by ArenaNet, and then I saw these patch notes. Fucking Dolyak Signet healing, bro. Vengeance 100%. Mace offhand. Oh my god. Oh wait, these patch notes are actually sick for Warrior fans. Yo! Berserk. Duration up 20 seconds. Cooldown 8 seconds. Smash Brawler. No more bullshit flat Berserk increase. That's right. Every Berserk skill you use, Primal Burst skill, duration extended by 2 seconds in PvE. Decapitate only 1 because otherwise it will be busted. Okay? Not good. Heat the Soul for quickness. The ICD, gone for quickness Berserker. Let's go. Actually, really nice. Really nice. Doesn't quite fix Condi Berserker because, of course, you're not necessarily going to take Smash Brawler on your Condi Berserker. But for Power Berserker, huge. This is going to make the build way more fun to play, way less annoying to play. To be honest, it already has great damage output. The quickness uptime is actually really good if you do go and play this build. And it will be way less annoying to play now without the ICD. I actually think this is a super fun trait as well, Smash Brawler. I love the idea of, like, the more you blast, the more bursts you can land, the more you can extend your Berserk in the same way that you can use your rage skills to do it. I think this is actually a really fun play style. And yeah, I think Warrior Mins are going to love it. I think this is what people have been asking for a long time. I think it's a good implementation of it. I think it's not over yet. Again, I'm going to be super boring and say I'd love to see them actually go ahead and improve the boon access on this build. I think looking at banners would be really good and making them more usable to really flesh out these builds. And of course, lay the foundations. Staff is coming, guys. The beta for Staff is coming on the same day as this patch for Warrior. It's going to be a Heal Warrior. Heal Berserker. That sounds so funny and so cool, actually. Heal Berserker is actually quite likely, in my opinion. I'd love to see them have pushed a bit harder on that so that Heal Quickness Berserker could kind of exist very early with, like, Staff and then having, I don't know, like, Mace Warhorn or whatever it's going to be. They did do a little bit, to be fair to them. Soldier's Focus, they buffed the healing power scaling. This is when you do a heal on your burst in Tactics, and you get more prot. It's actually a lot more prot, 2.5 seconds up to 4 seconds in PvE, and 2.5 to 3 in PvP and World vs. World, so that is nice, to be honest. But obviously, Heal Warrior is probably the worst heal build in the game by far in PvE. That's not to talk about PvP, because Bladesworn is a bit of a menace in World vs. World and PvP in terms of, like, in terms of existing. Have fun with that. But yeah, this one's also pretty cool. This is in Discipline, Vengeful Return, of course. This trait has been reworked and renamed Stalwart Focus. This gives you more incoming and outgoing healing to allies. Again, if you're playing... if you are going to be playing a Heal Warrior, I believe it is Tactics Discipline, so this makes a lot of sense. This means that you can get a bigger healing, you get more healing output as well, which is obviously great. And also, it gives you more incoming healing as well, by the way. So this is actually surprisingly good in a lot of situations, because bear in mind, that means healing yourself is more effective too. So this is actually a pretty powerful trait. Overall there as well. However, I think it does have some competition. Yeah, the problem with this build is that it competes with Warrior Sprint. So realistically, I do think this is going to be more of a healing build thing. And who knows, maybe Staff is going to be sick. And actually, I wouldn't be over nervous about this. They could make it really good. Bear in mind, they can drop Staff for Warrior. It could have Aegis on it. Hell, it could even have stability on it, right? Very easily. They can put the boons on the weapon and on the burst skill, right? The burst skill could give like 2 or even 3 boons. I know that sounds a little bit busto, but I mean, hell, like, throw caution to the wind, right? We're living in 2023. It's power creep world. Just go for it. And, you know, of course, they even have the Berserk, right? They can have, you know, you could be a Berserker healer. I think it's actually really cool. I would definitely play that build, for sure. I think quite an exciting idea if you ask me. The other stuff that happened here was an arms trait line rework. I definitely appreciate them trying to make all the trait lines good. And I think there's definitely some like niche usages for this. Like you can get 100% crit on Bladesworn, for example, and then run Valkyries or something and get some damage there. And this is now a pretty damn scary trait, actually. You get 100% crit chance and 150 ferocity on all of your attacks for up to 4 seconds based on your adrenaline level when you're striking with the burst skill. Very tasty, actually. Like, you know, the devs even said they were a little bit spooked about this. They've got to be a little bit careful. I actually agree with that. Anything like that can always be really scary, especially in competitive modes, because you can just obliterate people while also being relatively durable. 5% increased critical strike chance against bleeding enemies in PvE and 10% in PvP and World vs. World. The 5% crit in arms, oh man, that takes me back. I love it. I love it. Do you guys remember when... Do you guys remember when the previous balanced developer said, we're going to give you guys the extra crit you guys wanted on Warrior in the arms trait line? That was actually one of the most God Emperor maneuvers I think I have ever seen. That... yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyway, let's wrap up these changes here. So, Sigil of Stamina. I think this one, Signet of Stamina, this one actually might have some potential because this is very powerful. So, for those that don't know, this actually removes all conditions on you, basically, if you use this. And now it will give you 10 endurance per condition it removes. So that could potentially refill you. If you get like a massive cleanse, it can refill you. Now, of course, this is basically replacing... It's going to be pretty juicy. Of course, warrior skills are pretty competitive in terms of their utilities, but it's actually a very powerful effect now, actually. Could maybe see some play. Could maybe see the season play in some kind of duelist builds. PvP and World versus World. Mace offhand as well. We kind of meaned about it at the start, but honestly, it's good to see some buffs. It's going to hit a lot harder, actually, in PvE. Power coefficient going up a lot alongside the cooldown. And, of course... Tremor cooldown is also going down as well, which is a very powerful CC offhand. So I guess this is like, you can play Shield Light. It's basically like the CC of Shield, kind of, but also with some damage attached to it as well. Very niche weapon, I think. Not sure if this is really going to fit in. There's definitely been some times where, like, Mace has been good, but that's, like, ages ago. We're talking, like, vanilla fucking Guild Wars 2 at this point. When offhand bonking people was actually pretty strong. But yeah, that's basically going to be it for Warrior. This trait is also fun. Heightened Focus. This will also recharge all burst skills when it activates. When you strike someone below 50%, you get your burst skills back again. It's a very short cooldown. This is kind of a meme ability in my opinion. This is, it is a meme. Right? It's competing with Burst Master and Axe Mastery, so good luck. Like, Warrior has some sick Grandmaster traits, actually. Just think about that. Imagine being a Warrior Grandmaster trait, guys. It's a tough life, you know? It really is. It is actually... It's a tough one. It is. But that's it. Opportunist, this one I think actually is kind of worth talking about. The cooldown is down to 1 second, and whenever you disable an enemy, you also get that fury and adrenaline. Of course, the duration a little bit lower, obviously, but there's a lot of adrenaline generation there in the arms trait line there as well. But yeah, that's basically going to be just about it, my friends. That is going to be the end of that for Warrior. Again, I think Warrior, you know, all memes aside, I think Warrior is probably one of the classes that It really needs something added to it. It's not bad. I actually need to preface it. It's not bad, but it definitely lacks variety, right? It's pure DPS. And I think a lot of warrior players do like pure DPS, but I do think that opening up the more support options, especially at the very least, the DPS quickness build of Berserker and the DPS alacrity build of Blade Swarm, I think that's really healthy for the game. And I'm particularly interested, actually, especially seeing I've seen the Chrono reworks here and the Mesmer reworks. I'm really excited to see what CMC and the team actually end up doing with Heal Berserker, and of course the other kind of healing builds that are on the peripheral vision of the game right now. But yeah, that is going to be it. We've got through all the classes, but you're probably thinking by YouTube, you're probably thinking it's over. But here's the thing. You are in fact incorrect. We've got to talk about relics.